One of my favorite modern cryptids is Florida Man, an amalgamation given form by news articles and wacky stories originating in the state of Florida. The mischief and chaos this entity creates is fantastical, oftentimes hilarious, and almost always dangerous. But it got me thinking, what would Sage's Island's equivalent be? What if Florida Man was twisted? So today we're going to be looking at some Florida Man headlines I twisted to fit NRC and figuring out who could possibly be the perpetrator. I'll be providing 3 suspects per headline, along with some fabricated background about the scenario. Then you'll have some time, quiz style, to decide who you think did it. Once time is up, I'll reveal who I thought did it and why. Guess the characters, the non-twisted headlines, or just jump to the explanations, whatever floats your boat. But regardless of what you do, I hope y'all will have fun. Let's dive into our very first headline. NRC student assaults classmate with mushroom risotto, hides in bushes from faculty. At approximately 12:15 p.m. on this particular day, 2 students were discussing their lunches in the cafeteria. Completely unprovoked, student A flung their lunch, a mushroom risotto, into student B's face before they fled the cafeteria laughing their butt off, or so student B alleges. Student B informed faculty of this event, and the faculty later tried to find student A, but failed to. It was later discovered that student A had been hiding from the unfolding chaos in a cluster of bushes near the rear of the school. Our suspects in this case are Silver, who has been seen frequently eating mushroom risotto for lunch, Lloyd, who had reportedly been gifted a mushroom risotto that morning by Jade, and Grim, who had mushroom risotto residue in his fur. Who done it? Time's up. Did you say Floyd? Because then you'd be absolutely correct. During lunch on this day, Floyd had been given a mystery mushroom risotto by Jade, and he was trying to pawn it off to Grim. However, due to the nature of the dish being offered, even Grim was reluctant to accept, and a small argument broke out. During the altercation, Grim alleged that Floyd had thrown the dish in his face, but several witnesses interviewed after the fact revealed that Grim carelessly slammed his paws down on the table, unintentionally catching the edge of the plate instead, which sent the dish flying straight into his face. Floyd, for his part, found the scenario hilarious and was later hiding in the bushes to avoid having to go to class, completely unawares that the faculty were looking for him on Grim's account. Our next headline is NRC student can't produce student ID for faculty, shows them card tricks instead. Due to some ongoing shenanigans, the school faculty have been randomly asking for student IDs to discourage students from participating in these shenanigans. Failure to show your ID will result in a demerit, even if the faculty member knows the student well. Or at least that's how the system was designed to work, but we all know how NRC functions. However, on this particular morning, one unlucky duck forgot their ID and tried to play off the encounter with a few card tricks. Our suspects in this case are Cater, who was running late from tending to the hedgehogs, Ruggy, who was on his way to the botanical garden for alchemy class, and Ace, who was actually early to class for once. Who done it? If you said Ace, then you'd be correct. Unfortunately for Ace, because he got to class earlier than normal, he was the first person this faculty member questioned for their ID. Now, because Ace had been having an off morning where everything seemed to be going a bit too smoothly, he, of course, somehow forgot his student ID. However, Ace being Ace proceeded to chit-chat with the teacher and eventually bring out a deck of cards with which to perform a trick to distract them to buy himself some time. The trick itself was impressive, but despite his efforts, Ace still received a demerit for failing to show his ID and for inadvertently derailing the morning class with sleight of hand as other students began to crowd around requesting tricks. Our next headline is NRC student in pink suit terrorizes campus demanding rights for eggs. During the early morning hours, some students were walking through campus with intentions of egging Ramshackle Dorm when they were confronted by a figure in a pink suit. The would-be vandals reported that the pink-suited individual had been shouting about sacrifices and baby chicks as they chased them away from the dorm. Our suspects in this case are Cater, who was on flamingo feeding duty that morning, Deuce, who was also on flamingo feeding duty that morning, and Chenya, who was spotted hiding in a nearby tree shortly before the incident. Who done it? I would sure hope that this was an easy case, because this was totally Deuce. Not only has Deuce been a big proponent of respecting the sacrifice of those baby chicks, but the only pink clothes he has to fulfill his flamingo feeding duties with is a pink suit. It was rather easy for investigators to piece this one together, and in his defense, Deuce said that he was just trying to protect the home of his dear friend, the ramshackle prefect, while also teaching those would-be vandals the importance of respecting eggs. For this dedication, he was not disciplined. Our next headline is NRC student breaks into detention to hang out with friends. Several students from various dorms were given detention after an altercation escalated from physical to magical, resulting in the destruction of part of a campus apple tree. Some of the punished students maintained their innocence and claimed to have nearly been near the fight, not directly involved in it. But perhaps due to this, one individual joined the detention who was not supposed to be there. This individual didn't even replace anyone. They just snuck in to hang out, somewhat defeating the purpose of a detention, and was quickly found out when roll call revealed their presence. The punishment then turned into a lively affair, which also defeated the point of the gathering. Our suspects in this case are Kaleem, who had been looking nearby for the other members of the pop music club, Lilia, who had been looking nearby for Kaleem, and Ortho, who was seen nearby looking for Idia, who uncharacteristically was not in his room. Who done it? This case was a bit tricky because no one in the classroom reported technically being friends with the individual who broke in. However, by the end of the affair, everyone had warmed up to them, which means that this can be no one other than Kaleem. According to Kaleem, he was on his way to the pop music club when he saw some of his dormmates gathering in a classroom with some folks from other dorms. Mistaking the event as an impromptu party of sorts, Kaleem invited himself in, derailing the entire detention with the help of Lilia, who quickly found him once he and Cater realized Kaleem was late for club. So, if you answered either Lilia or Kaleem, you'd technically be correct, but the instigator of this event was Kaleem, so full points to those folks. Our next headline is NRC student steals 50-pound fish from Octavanel dorm. On the morning of Redacted, Azul Ashen Grotto, house warden of Octavanel, reported that the dorm's unofficial pet, a 50-pound tuna named Steven, had been removed from their tank by an unknown entity. Review of security footage by the campus security staff revealed the identity of the thief. However, authorities were too late to recover Steven. Rest in peace. Ashen Grotto is currently trying to reach a settlement with the offender. However, if restitutions are not properly made, he vowed to prosecute the thief to the fullest extent of the law. Our suspects in this case are Grim, who allegedly smelled of fish and salt water the morning after the incident, Ruggy, who allegedly had been selling other stolen goods on the side, and Floyd, who had allegedly gone for a late-night swim near Steven's location. Who done it? Rest in peace, Stephen, the octagonal fish that was taken from this earth too soon by the gluttonous Grimm. For whatever reason, Grimm decided to head to Octagonal for his midnight snack, and unbeknownst to him, treated himself to the next premium menu, the dorm's precious emotional support tuna, who was being carefully raised near the lounge. How Grimm came to know of its existence is unknown. However, the fact is that he ate Steven and now is indebted to Azul. Our next headline is NRC student shuttles friend to mystery shop in stolen botanical garden wheelbarrow. The groundskeeper of the botanical garden reported their wheelbarrow as stolen after several days of being unable to find it. Investigation led to the wheelbarrow being found next to the mystery shop, which led in turn to Sam being questioned. He revealed that a little imp had carried their friend to the store in it and had left it behind. Believing this to be their property, Sam left it alone and assumed they would come back to claim it. But knowing now that it wasn't theirs, Sam revealed the name of the student and their friend so a warning could be issued. Our suspects in this case are Ruggy, who frequents the garden and has helped the groundskeeper out in the past, Jade, who visits the garden often to tend to his mushrooms, and Jack, who visits the garden often to care for his cactus. Who done it? Sam claimed that the student using the wheelbarrow was none other than Ruggy Bucci, who was transporting a deeply sleepy Leona to the store to help the lion avoid being caught by the teachers that were looking for him. When questioned, Ruggy claimed the action was purely out of concern and that he couldn't carry Leona to the nurse's office or levitate him well enough, so the barrel had to do. But along the way, he realized Leona was just sleeping, not passed out from any sort of medical ailment, so he made a detour by the shop to run some errands. Leona woke up and the two quickly forgot about the wheelbarrow, hence why it was never returned. Our next headline is NRC student asks peers for help looking for his 18-foot portrait of Housewarden. One otherwise peaceful day was shattered with the panic of a certain student over the disappearance of an 18-foot portrait of their housewarden, which was allegedly stolen from their dorm sometime the previous evening. After a rigorous search, the portrait was eventually recovered from being professionally cleaned, an activity the owner of the portrait was unaware of as it was meant to be a surprise gift. Our suspects in this case are Sebek, who was one of the few students found searching, Rook, who was one of the few students found searching, and Jade, who was watching the chaos of the searching students up close. Who done it? Well, all those within earshot knew of this predicament and knew that it was Sebek who lost his painting. While it is unknown if Rook also possesses an 18-foot portrait of Vil, if he does indeed have one, he's likely keeping it at home. Sebek, though, had awoken to find the portrait of Malleus missing from its usual place, and he immediately jumped into action. Rook and Jade joined the pursuit for different reasons, but ultimately the unlikely trio were informed by Lilia that the portrait had been temporarily taken down so that the frame could be properly dusted and the painting properly cleaned, as a small gift to Sebek for his recent good deeds. Sebek briefly wept and the crisis was averted. Our next headline is NRC students filmed freeing dozens of hedgehogs while wearing bucket on head. On the day of an unbirthday party in Hartslable, students were shocked to find that all their hedgehogs were missing from their cages. While suspicion quickly turned to those on hedgehog duty that day, the true culprits were discovered by Cater Diamond and disciplinary action was swiftly enacted. The hedgehogs were also thankfully all found unharmed. Our suspects in this case are Hartzlable Student A, Hartzlable Student B, and Hartzlable Student C. Who done it? This was a trick question. It was all of them. Students A and B released the hedgehogs while Student C recorded the affair and posted it to their Magicam page with the caption, Teapot Tyrant Get Pranked, #prank, #karma, #hedgehogs, #power to the people. The Investigative Bureau would like to take this moment to remind you all not to commit crimes ever, but especially don't record nor post yourself doing any sort of alleged crime on social media. Or you'll end up like students A, B, and C here and go to naughty jail, which is not a pretty place. Our next headline is, Faculty find nearly a dozen wild animals in NRC student's dorm room. One morning, a student frantically ran into the faculty office after allegedly being scared awake by the chittering of woodland creatures, which were not, to their dismay, outdoors, but rather in a dorm room. Fearing that these critters were being held as unauthorized pets, the student asked the faculty to investigate, which they promptly did. Our suspects in this case are Kaleem, who has been known to keep exotic animals, Lilia, who has been known to keep all sorts of things in his room, so he might as well hide a couple of squirrels, and Silver, who is often seen cavorting with woodland creatures like the ones described by the distressed student. Who done it? Despite Kaleem owning a lot of animals, they aren't kept in his room, and while Lilia has a lot of bat friends, they don't reside in his dwelling either. Silver, on the other hand, doesn't own any animals, yet for some reason his roommate found him surrounded by 3 squirrels, 5 birds, and 4 mice. Assuming these were pets, the faculty was alerted to the keeping of an unauthorized pet, and when they went to investigate, the animals were still in Silver's room surrounding him while he slept. After a polite conversation, the woodland creatures informed the faculty that they were not pets at all, but were trying to wake Silver up so he could attend classes, but their efforts weren't working. The animals returned to their homes when the faculty reassured them Silver would not be punished for skipping classes, and Silver later awoke that afternoon completely unaware of the whole ordeal. Our next headline is, NRC student takes 75th remedial class this year. The headline basically says it all. One unlucky, or perhaps extremely lucky student has just taken their 75th remedial class this year. How is this even possible is a question that stumped even our investigators. But the records don't lie, and this was indeed one of the following individuals' 75th remedial class. Was it Grim, Ace, or Kaleem? Who done it? We've got a repeat offender for this one because it's Kaleem Al-Asim. While this is not the first time a student has taken this many remedials in the school's history, it is a somewhat rare accomplishment, and given Kaleem's overall grades, it's almost more shocking that this was only his 75th. Regardless, when asking for a comment, Kaleem was positive about the whole situation, stating that even though this was not a good record to achieve, it was still an achievement, and that must count for something. Suspiciously, though, further reprimanding actions weren't taken like they were in the past, so our investigative team is turning our efforts to identify the cause of such discrepancies, as we suspect some favoritism might be involved. But while we work on that, we'll be leaving the work of liking, commenting, and subscribing up to you lovely viewers. Did you enjoy these little puzzles? Or did you think there could have been better suspects for these crimes? Please do let me know, and while you're doing so, also tell me if you enjoyed this video and want more content like it. And remember that no matter what, you're amazing, and I hope you have a wonderful day.